It's 2 o'clock, 5 seconds. Crank
10
this.
seconds. Ooh, you got it down to the second. Cool.
Oh, shoot, I'm missing something.
If everyone could please rise for our invocation from Chaplain John Gerhardt.
Thank you, Chairman Carter. And would you bow your heads for invocation, please? Lord our God, although we are a people of many faiths, we are reminded this past week through the observance of Passover, Good Friday, and Easter Sunday, that we are a people in need of deliverance and freedom, in need of forgiveness and life eternal. And we here at Sarasota Memorial are especially in need. We are in need of resources to continue the mission of this great institution of healing. We are in need of insight to direct our medical support for our community for years to come. And our staff, who minister day and night in this hospital that never closes, are in need of strength, wisdom, and compassion as they care for our patients and their families who come to us in need of healing, comfort, and support during the greatest times of need in their lives. These things together we pray. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order for the Sarasota Memorial Public Hospital Board. I'll start with a comment. Any citizen desiring to address the hospital board should turn in a speaker card to the board secretary. If the citizen comment pertains to an item on the agenda today, the comment will be heard early in this meeting. Otherwise, it will be heard toward the end. Speakers are asked to limit their comments to 5 minutes. Vendors, suppliers, or other persons seeking hospital contracts awarded on a competitive basis are reminded that their ability to address the board may be restricted by the terms of the invitation for bid, request for proposal, or other purchasing criteria. Lastly, the board has established a claims adjustment review panel comprised of representatives of the board, the medical staff, administration, and legal counsel to review and negotiate the settlement of claims. Accordingly, the board will not entertain comments on or discuss or negotiate claims at this meeting. We'll start with the approval of the orders of the day. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Unless there are concerns, we'll approve the orders of the day. And also the approval of minutes for the meeting of March 20th, if we could have a motion.
So moved.
Unless there are questions or comments, we'll approve the minutes as presented. I don't think we have any board reports at this time, so we'll start with our presentation today. It's a continuing medical education update. Dr. Stevens, if you would introduce our speaker, please.
It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. He is the education chairman. He also is the section chief of vascular surgery at Sarasota Memorial Hospital. Residency at Albert Einstein College of Medicine and Montefiore Medical Center and fellowship at Emory University. He is a super gifted vascular surgeon. Very lucky to have him on our staff and to us today. Continuing medical.
Thanks for the invitation, and thanks for the kind words, Scott. Thanks for having me. I actually represent the Medical Education Committee at the hospital. This is who we are. It's a very multidisciplinary group, lots of variety, and our main goal is to provide education, continuing education to practitioners, not just physicians, but practitioners throughout the hospital and our staff. One of the main things we did over the past several years was to warehouse and education into sort of one department. Instead of having multiple silos providing education, we decided, as medicine is becoming more and more team-based, that we learn together as a team as well. So we have a great group. They all participate, and they're all integral to our committee. Mary Pat McNicholas really needs more special mention. She's our administrator and really makes everything go. What we do, we offer different service lines for education, just like anything else. That's sort of the way I look at it. Grand rounds is a time-old tradition in medicine in which there's morning grand rounds in which physicians and different practitioners come and get education. We provide education differently as continuing medical education is changing. It's supposed to go with the needs of the hospital, the needs of the staff. We don't just say, hey, let's have a great talk on this topic. It's the way we used to do things. Now we find out from the staff what are the needs. If you look at the screen, you can see what the staff has told us. We need to learn more about statins. We need to learn more about sepsis, specifically about coding sepsis, because that has implications for the hospital. Medical treatment of myocardial infarction, medical management of vascular disease, obesity continues to be an issue. Red tide and toxins in the environment was an issue. So we get this, and then we find speakers who can speak to this. One of the other service lines we try to do, is have some of this accessible to the public. One of the things we did was, this past year, the State of Sarasota County Health. And this is just a snapshot of one of the talks, and you can see how interesting this is. To just basically summarize, it used to be, we used to worry about the anxiety medicines and the opioids, which we still see as a big epidemic, but you can see that the health department told us this is changing. Fentanyl, cocaine, and heroin are on the rise. This has implications for us in the emergency room, in the hospital, as practitioners aren't just focused on just not opioids, but we understand that there are other things that are happening within the community. And this also has great implications in pediatrics, which came to our committee. They said, we're seeing more of this, and sure enough, the health department corroborated this. Another example of how this is one of the top 3 reasons substance abuse is why children are removed from their homes. We tend to sort of live in a little hole here and think that pediatrics is not involved with many of the medical problems that we're seeing because of our small amount of pediatric patients that we have in the hospital. But again, this came to us from committee. Cancer, we also support all the different departments, cancer departments, trauma departments. We provide the credit and the education for them, and an afternoon lunch and learn program. We provide evening programs also. Again, different service lines to give education. Not everybody's available in the morning, not everybody's available in the afternoon, not everybody's available in the evening. We support all the Sarasota Memorial conferences, the pediatric conference, trauma conference, cardiac conference. One of the most important things we do is licensure renewal assistance. We want to make sure all our practitioners are licensed so they can practice medicine here at the hospital. Our partners are really the hospital and the foundation in providing us funds for this. We're actually probably the only committee that makes money every year. Really, we don't spend a lot. The foundation is very helpful in helping run programs. One of our newest projects and our most important project is delivery of education. People are traveling less and less to get live education. They want on-demand education, online, and it's probably better for them to get it that way too. They'll get more education, more people can see the conferences. As physicians and practitioners are getting more busy in their clinics, need to see more patients, hours getting longer, being able to deliver this electronically is our goal. And now we're working with Jean Lucas and Lisa Baumgardner, as well as the House Staff Office, to integrate our programs into HealthStream. This is really the state of affairs in medical education. I can answer any questions.
Any questions for Dr. Miner? Thank you very much for your presentation. Very good.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. We'll move now to our Excel and Hero Awards today. David?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to invite Nancy Olson to come up and join me. Nancy? How are you? So Nancy Olson is our April Excel Award winner. Nancy is an advanced practice nurse in the cardiovascular services. She's been with Sarasota Memorial since 1995. There's a consensus among Nancy's coworkers that she's a fantastic resource. Whether it's implementing a new practice or updating an existing one, Nancy always assists leadership and staff. She keeps us current with a calm, light-humored, and honest demeanor that we all appreciate, they say. Over the past several months, Nancy has dedicated much of her time and energy to building clinical documentation models within the new hemodynamic and charting systems, which is no easy task. Nancy embraces ideas. One of her coworkers says she leads and listens and encourages all team members who come in contact with her. That's why we entrust Nancy with our department's new hire orientation. One of her peers concludes, Nancy is a tremendously supportive member of our team, and we are truly thankful for all she does. Nancy, thank you for everything. We very much appreciate it. Hold on.
Hello, Nancy. I'm Tram Hudson, and on behalf of the board, we'd like to present you with this beautiful plaque. May I read it? Yes. Excel Award recipients are employees who are models of excellence and consistently demonstrate the mission, vision, and values of our organization. They are superior performers that make an extra effort in the quality and care of our patients and families in the community. The hospital board and administrative staff of Sarasota Memorial Healthcare System recognizes Nancy Olson with the Excel Award for the month of April 2017, signed by David Verinder, President, and Greg Carter, our Chairman. Congratulations, Nancy.
Thank you very much.
You don't get away that easy.
Thank you. Well, I said at Management Council that it is such an honor and a blessing, really, to come in and do what I love to do every day and to be among people, coworkers, and other leaders who are so talented and compassionate and knowledgeable. It's just, to be recognized for it is really just icing on the cake. So thank you very much.
Should I continue, Mr. Chairman?
Please do, David.
Okay, I'd like to invite Michelle McIntyre to come up and join me. Michelle? So Michelle McIntyre is our Hero Award recipient for April. She's a medical technologist in lab services. Michelle was having lunch in Windows Cafeteria one afternoon with two friends when they noticed a woman at the next table stand up abruptly, seemingly to be in distress. Michelle asked the woman if she was choking. She nodded yes. Glad. What would you have done if she wouldn't? Michelle then performed the Heimlich maneuver on a choking victim and successfully dislodged the item. The woman was okay and very thankful. I suppose she was. A nurse who was dining nearby came over and complimented Michelle on staying calm and doing a great job. She even asked Michelle if she was a nurse. Although Michelle is not a nurse, it seems that she has a special healing touch. This is the second time she saved a choking victim using this maneuver. Thank you so much for everything. We appreciate it.
Michelle, on behalf of the board, it's a privilege to present this beautiful plaque. Hero Hall of Fame. The hospital board and administrative staff of Sarasota Memorial Healthcare System hereby inducts Michelle McIntyre into the Team SMH Hero Hall of Fame for actions that capture the essence of a true hero, including courage, to have persistency in the face of fear, passion to always do the right thing, integrity, to have a strong moral compass, concern, to have concern for the well-being of others. Signed, David Verinder as president and Greg Carter as our chairman. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Here we go.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, we're gonna go to dinner because I need you around me. Thank you very much.
Good one, David.
Holy Toledo.
Thank you very much, David and Tram. Next, we have our medical staff report. Scott Stevens, Chief of Staff. Okay, thank you, Dr. Stevens. Our next item is the foundation report from our foundation, and I see Mason is not here today, so Sally, if you would give the report, please.
Thank you, sir. We hosted our Rehabilitation Pavilion reception for our donors on March 31st. Very successful. We had about 125 people attend. They were thrilled to see the facility, and it's beautiful. So that was great. We are in the middle of our EPIC campaign currently, and I would like to report that as of week 1, our dollars were up 96%, and the number of donors was up 113%. That is just week 1. So that continues through May. Then we have our golf tournament that we're working on, and our event is May 5th, and our sponsorship dollars are up 43% over last year currently, and we still have sponsorships available. And then you will see our Envision publication come out the first week in May, and the title of the Envision is Not Your Typical Community Hospital, and underneath it reads, Sarasota Memorial Hospital is the nationally recognized leader in healthcare. So you look forward to seeing that in your mailbox week 1. Thank you.
Thank you for that great report. Secretary's report, Tram Hudson.
Mr. Chairman, we have several dates that I'd like to bring to the attention of the board and general public. Is on Thursday, April the 27th, between 6 and 8 p.m., the Sarasota Memorial Health Hospital Foundation Golf Tournament reception will be held. On Friday, May the 5th, between 9 and 4 p.m., the annual golf tournament sponsored by the foundation will be held at Laurel Oak Country Club. And between 12 and 1:30 that day, we will celebrate Nurses Week in the auditorium in the old boardroom. On Monday, May the 15th, the board will meet at 9 o'clock for the Mission and Planning Committee. At 10:30, the Quality Committee. Between noon and 12:30, peer review. 12:30 to 2 will be financial review. And at 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, we'll have our board meeting in this room. And finally, on Thursday, June the 1st, we will have a strategic planning session here on this floor between 8 and 11 a.m. That's all I have to report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Tram, very much. Treasurer's report, Jim Meister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move approval of the bad debt and charity care for the month ended March 31st, 2017, in the amount of $17,471,000.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next, we have our financial highlights. Bill Wolchin, our Chief Financial Officer.
Good afternoon. I have the financial highlights for the month of March and March year-to-date. We've now finished our second quarter, so the fiscal year-to-date numbers represent 1/2 of our fiscal year. So starting with operating revenue for the system, for the month of March, operating revenue of $73,680,000 compared to a budget of $66,665,000. Fiscal year-to-date, operating revenue of $384,347,000 compared to a budget of $367,297,000. Total expenses for the system for March, $65,807,000 compared to a budget of $63,983,000. Fiscal year-to-date, $366,533,000 compared to a budget of $360,872,000. Operating income for the system in the rating agency format for March, $10,668,000, which generated an operating margin of 13.7%, compared to a budget of $5,777,000, which was budgeted as an operating margin of 8.2%. Fiscal year to date, operating income of $35,566,000, and so far the operating margin is 8.7%. And the budget called for operating income of $24,992,000, which was budgeted an operating margin of 6.4%. For the hospital statistics, average daily occupancy for, this is March year to date, so 6 months average, 495 patients per day, compared to a budget of 490. Our average length of stay is 4.46 days compared to a prior year 4.71 days. Admissions through 6 months, 17,246 compared to a budget of 15,848. For the hospital surgery cases for 6 months through March, 11,367 compared to a budget of 11,192. And so far through 6 months, we've had 1,723 births compared to a budget of 1,690. For the hospital's outpatient registrations through 6 months, 227,666 compared to a budget of 226,384. And emergency care center registrations, so far we've had 63,849 compared to a budget of 64,885. And for the hospital's case mix index through 6 months, for all patients stands at 1.88, and for Medicare patients, 1.98. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report unless there's any questions.
Okay, thank you, Bill, very much. We'll move now to committee reports, and we'll start with the Finance Committee. Jim Meister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance Committee met this morning. We started out by approving the joint meeting minutes from January 17th of both the Finance and the Audit Committees. There are several motions which I would like to present, and I'll give you some background on each of them. Number one, Jim Bugis this morning presented the recommendations made by the Selection Committee for the General Contractor, Architect, Engineer for the Operating Room Pharmacy Clean Room Project. And the proposed motion, I move approval of selections for the design and construction of the hospital operating room, pharmacy clean room as ranked by the Selection Committee in the public selection process and recommended by the Finance Committee as follows. For general contractor, 1 is J2 Solutions, Inc., 2 is DeAngelis Diamond Healthcare Group, and 3 is Willis A. Smith Construction Incorporated. For the architect and engineer, 1 Salt Company LLC and MGE Architects. And I would entertain that as a motion.
Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any questions
Please.
or comments? Yes, Darrell.
I see the company J2 Solutions show up an awful lot in our bid process. I'm sure you looked at it very hard, but are they truly qualified or well above all the others? I'm not sure they are. I'm sure that we're getting a good price for them.
They have done work in the hospital in the past. I think they're presently doing work now that we covered in the meeting, and Tom Perigo had talked about that. That question was directed and answered. But yes, they have done work in the past.
Very well, thank you.
If I may, number 2, Tom Perigo presented the recommendations made by the Selection Committee for General Contractor, Architect, Engineer for the 9 and 10th East Tower renovations project. And the motion is as follows. A proposed motion, I move approval of selections for the design and construction of the 9 and 10 East Tower acute care renovations as ranked by the selection committee in the public selection process and recommended by the finance committee as follows. For the general contractor, DeAngelis Diamond Healthcare Group, 2 Willis Smith Corporation, and 3 Gilbane Building Company. For the architect engineer public selection committee recommendations, FLAD Architects, 2 Studio Plus LLC, and 3 is Gresham Smith and Partners.
Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. Also, I don't think we took a vote on the operating room and clean room. We had a motion, a second, and a question, but I don't think we took a vote on that.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
So we need to move back. We can move back to the general contractor and architect for the operating room and clean room, pharmacy clean room, as ranked by the selection committee. All those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. So we'll move to the third motion, Jim.
Okay, I'm with you. So Tom also presented recommendations for the selection committee for the general contractor and architect engineer for the West Garage Parking Deck project. And I move approval, and I'm actually one behind, so I'm actually to present. Help me, Carol Ann. Sorry? The next one is just for the laboratory automation. Got it. So Lori Lang gave a presentation on the proposal to improve our laboratory services by converting the laboratory on the main campus from a modular system to an automated single entry system, to enhance satellite laboratory at Northport, expanding the footprint and replacing aging equipment, and conduct preparatory microbiology renovations, renovation for future automation. The project will produce significant reductions in operating expenses, such that the estimated payback period is 4.5 years, and the project will also increase the quality and the quantity of tests the laboratory is capable of completing in a day. Total project cost not to exceed $2,988,000, which is included in the 2017 capital budget. And the proposed motion is as follows. I move approval of the laboratory project to include core lab automation, Northport lab expansion, and microbiology construction for a total project not to exceed $2,988,000 is included in for the year-end 2017 capital budget as recommended by the Finance Committee.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes. Yes. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
To continue, Mr. Chairman, the last motion to be approved is that David Verinder presented a proposal to purchase a building and land on South Tamiami Trail in Venice with frontage on Business 41. The building will be used for either physician offices or diagnostic testing facilities. The acquisition cost of the real estate is $680,000, and the amount is included in 2017 capital budget. And the motion is as follows. I move approval of the laboratory project to include core lab automation, Northport lab expansion, microbiology construction. Sorry? Oh, sorry, I'm reading the wrong motion. So the proposed motion, as it relates to the purchase in Venice, I move approval of the purchase of property at 609 South Tamiami Trail in Venice, subject to the resolution of any due diligence items as determined by administration for $700,000, including closing cost as included in the 2017 capital budget as recommended by the Finance Committee.
We have a motion and a second. Questions, comments?
Question.
Yes, sir.
For those of us who are familiar with Venice, what is that place now?
It is a dentist office at the present time. It is on US 41, right next to the, right near, yeah, Gulf Coast Community Foundation, right near the Chamber of Commerce office.
Okay, I know where you're talking about.
Okay.
Thank you.
Other
Good
questions?
investment.
Two other items, Mr. Chairman.
We need to take a vote.
Sorry.
If there are no other questions, all those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Charlie Ryan from First Physicians gave the committee an overview of the revenue cycle process for First Physicians. He described the processes for capture of patient demographics, relationship of service and diagnosis, claims pre-submission edits, payment posting and determining the accuracy of the payment, investigation and process analysis of underpayment and denials, and appealing denials. There's no motion necessary. Lastly, Mr. Chairman, Nelson Lane, our controller, presented the district's credit profile as of September 30th, 2016, and graphs showing historical trends of our financial ratios. For many ratio metrics, the district is performing better than the median metric of similarly rated healthcare systems. No motion is required, and that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Jim, very much. We move to the President's report. David Verinder. Oh, I'm sorry, my mistake. Quality Committee report, Dr. Raymeyer.
Mr. Chairman, I believe you have the information and the motions that need to be approved.
It was a closed session, so.
Yes, I
no
think because the
report.
Quality Committee meets in closed session, there's no report from that.
Thank you. Now, David.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm going to start today, as I always do, with our organizational report card for year-to-date through March of 2017. So we start in our service pillar and look at our HCAHPS data, and we look at our inpatient number of domains that we're hitting over, greater than, or equal to the 50th percentile. We have a goal of having 8 out of 11. We are short of that. We are running at 6 out of 11, and I'll share some detail around that in just a few minutes. On the outpatient side, we heard a great presentation from Frank Morgan this morning in the committees, showing our outpatient domains at greater than or equal to 50th percentile. We have a goal being 55 out of 58, and as you reported, we saw 56 out of 58. Our people pillar, we have a goal of having turnover of our part-time and full-time employees that have been hired within the last 12 months of hire, being 25% or lower. We are not meeting that goal quite right now. We're at 26.75. We've had a couple of spike ups in the last couple of months around that, but teams are working around it. Quality pillar, our infection prevention, which is our overall standardized infection rate. We have a goal of being less than 0.95, expected by definition being at 1.0 or national average at 1.0. I'm happy to report that we are exceeding that and are at 0.85. Finance pillar, as our CFO, Bill Wojin, reported, we have an operating margin goal, or our budget of 5.1%, and we are projecting to exceed that at 6.3%. In the growth pillar, we have our strategic growth organization goals, the first one being inpatient admissions and observation outpatients. We have a goal being at 38,899 for the year. We are currently tracking to exceed that at 43,387. And on the outpatient side, we have outpatient registrations, a goal being at 799,000. We are projecting a little bit lower than that right now at 786,366. So when we get into the details of our HCAHPS performance right now, as I said, we are not meeting our goal. We're a little, and we're very aware of that, and are have a lot of teams working around this to get our scores to where we all believe they should be. The areas that we're having the difficulty in: responsiveness to hospital staff, communication with doctors, cleanliness of hospital environment, quietness of the hospital environment, and communication and medicines about medicines. Most of these are very close to the national averages, but still falling a little bit short. We do have teams working around this throughout the organization, and I'm confident that we have the people in place and processes to come back with some better scores in the very near future. I did want to put in here, this is off of Medicare.gov, which is the publicly available data, just to kind of show you where SMH is compared to others in the region. You'll see our scores on the far left-hand side. Sarasota Memorial Hospital with a national average of 7. I know I just reported 6, but the latest data that they have is 7. And then you can kind of see where our, the other hospitals in our market are and where they're falling in. So while we're having our challenges, I think that we do rate well compared to others in the region. Moving on to people, just want to, Dr. Stevens, I just wish you would thank again our medical staff and our physicians for everything they do. We had the privilege of doing that personally on March 30th as for Doctor's Day, but we never can say thank you enough. Here's just a couple of the pictures that we were able to take around the campus. So please pass that on for us. Staying in people, we had children celebrating Doctor's Day with a field trip to SMH. So children and teachers from Sarasota Memorial's Child Care Center too visited the hospital for Doctor's Day on March 30th. They toured the Energy Center, received special Dr. Day stickers, and visited the patient sim lab. And you can tell it's just kind of neat. They all gowned up and put gloves on and everything else, and I think they had a great time. Staying in people, our nurses show care in many ways as well. On March 10th, a group of our nursing leaders from Sarasota Memorial volunteered at All Faiths Food Bank, pre-bagging approximately 300 pounds of potatoes at the food bank's warehouse, which equates to roughly 1,500 meals. So thanks to all those who participated. Our cyclists raise funds for research and community programs for the American Diabetes Association, the Tour de Cure. Sarasota Memorial, under the leadership of our Chief Operating Officer, Lori Lang, led the pack in supporting this year's ADA Southwest Florida Tour de Cure on April 9th in Lakewood Ranch. Tour de Cure raises funds to support life-changing and life-saving research and educational programs right here in our community. And Lori, we sure thank you for taking that. One of your projects, maybe I should say that. Moving into quality, Sarasota Memorial has been listed among America's top 100 hospitals in 2007 by Becker's Hospital Review. Becker's top hospital designation is awarded to hospitals and healthcare systems that earn multiple rankings and awards from reputable sources, including the federal government Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, Truven Health Analytics, Magnet Accreditation, Health Grades, the Leapfrog Group, and U.S. News and World Report. Sarasota Memorial earned high marks from all of them in 2016 and 17. Last month, SMH also made Becker's 150 Great Places to Work in Healthcare in 2017. Staying in quality, I want to share SMH and JFCS partnership offers wellness programs to combat cancer. A partnership between Sarasota Memorial Healthcare System and Jewish Family and Children's Services of Suncoast now provides dedicated wellness and exercise classes for cancer patients, their family members, and caregivers at SMH's Health Fit, the area's only medically certified fitness center. The classes are designed specifically to combat the harsh side effects of cancer and promote personal wellness, and are free to all cancer patients and survivors, regardless of when and where they were treated, as well as their family members and caregivers. So appreciate the folks at JFCS working with us on that. As always, we always have free lecture programs in this organization. I would not challenge you to have to read the slide in front of you, but go to our website and take a look at it, as they are always changing, and it gives you directions, times, and who those presenters are. In the growth section, we had the privilege of opening our new Rehab Pavilion, and several pictures here show the ribbon cutting, as well as Mr. Hudson and a spaceman. So we appreciate everybody for being there for that. Nearly 3 years in the making, the new 74,000 square foot pavilion features the latest technology and treatments for patients rehabbing from serious injuries and conditions. The Super Galactic event featured demonstrations of the latest integrated therapy systems and continuous tours of the pavilion's patient rooms and therapy areas. I am happy also, just an anecdote to the board is that we have filled that place up already in 2 weeks. So special thanks to all of our caregivers who are putting their patients there and our patients who are receiving excellent care. Staying in growth, this past March, Sarasota Memorial participated in its inaugural Match Day event on March 17th and announced the 13 residents who will join FSU internal medicine residency program at SMH this summer. Match Day is a tradition started in 1952 that concludes months of applications and interview by fourth-year medical school students and hospitals across the country in search of their perfect match. So just wanted to especially thank Dr. Wilhelmina Visa-Ramesh and Dr. Karen Hammond for making this happen. Without them, it probably doesn't. I will just share that we had over 4,000 students for our 13 slots apply. We invited 200 students to come in and interview with our staff, our medical staff, and our teaching staff. Of that, 170 did, and then we were and we turned in our ranking system, and we've completely filled our match. And I think that's just a lot of success for a first-year program. So thanks to everybody who participated. Staying in growth, Sally from the foundation mentioned this a minute ago, and I just wanted to follow up. A 2017 EPIC campaign. It's the 15th anniversary of our EPIC campaign. Employee support for EPIC campaign has reached almost $900,000. It goes to staff education, equipment, facilities, and technology upgrades. 3 ways SMH employees can donate to the campaign. April 3rd through May 26th, they can donate by cash or by credit card or make a payroll deduction. May 11th, they can bid on items in a silent auction held in a cafeteria. And May 18th, they can come to the celebrity bartending event at Libby's. And so we appreciate everybody supporting that throughout the years. And Mr. Chairman, that's my report, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions for David?
Please,
Yes.
David,
Yes, sir.
we've reached 6 out of 11. Tell me the level of management people that are going to be responsible under their merit increase program for not reaching higher than 6.
Well, first off,
I don't want by name. I don't want names.
well, it's me. I'm the person.
That I knew, but
Okay, I'm the person responsible. We all take, everybody has something to do with it. So 5,300 employees here, we all have something to do with it. At the end of the day, I'm the one responsible for it. It is on every one of our managers' report cards, and every employee here has a piece of that into their annual compensation review. Does that answer your question?
How do your managers respond to seeing this happen?
Oh, I think universally they're not happy with the results, and and to a person feel that that we need to find ways to get our results higher.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, David, very much.
You.
Good report. I don't think we have any items on the consent agenda. And Karen, public comments? None. Okay, thank you. And legal matters, our Chief Legal Officer, Caroline Kalish.
We do have something today, and I'm going to introduce, I think y'all have met him. This is David Evans. He's the Associate Chief Legal Officer here, and he is going to walk you through a redistricting resolution. We're a little bit past due for doing this, and it's going to reflect the southerly shift of our population. So take it away, David. And David Verinder has a flight to catch, so...
Keep it short. Good afternoon. As Caroline mentioned, I'm David Evans. I think I've had the pleasure to meet everyone, but if not, I'm the Associate Chief Legal Officer here at Sarasota Memorial Healthcare System. So I'm here today to present a proposal, and I'll try to... take as much time
No, he left. Oh, no, he's there.
To present a proposal about redistricting the northern, central, and southern hospital district borders in alignment with the hospital board's charter to ensure that the population in each district is as equal as possible, and to use the language of the charter, as nearly equal in population as practicable. So as you know, the Sarasota County Public Hospital District is created by the Florida legislature. In our charter, in Section 1, it requires the hospital board to set up 3 districts within Sarasota County, and each district is to be set along the lines of the precincts as determined by the Sarasota County Supervisor of Elections. The last time that this was done by the hospital board was back in September of 2003, based on year 2000 decennial census data. So now we have the benefit of the 2010 U.S. Census data. And as you can see, this is the first chart here is based on our current district borders. That census resulted in a total population count of 379,448. And as Carol Ann mentioned, there's been a little bit disproportionate growth in the southern district. Working alongside the Supervisor of Elections office, within the confines of what the hospital board's charter allows, we have proposed new districts that very closely align each district. The northern district, which grew but not as much with 126,589, and the central and southern being very close with only about 30 members of the population different. As Carol Ann mentioned, per the hospital board charter, this is to be done not more often than every 10 years. And so we've exceeded that a little bit with the benefit of seeing how the Supervisor of Elections office has reset a few of the precincts in addition to kind of letting that 2010 census data come in and be evaluated. So this is the map of the current districts as they were set in 2003. And as you can see, the central district will grow and the southern district will shrink a little bit because the population to set it equal. So the greatest growth there is in the central district, although the population growth was in the southern part of the county. 2 things to note before I answer any questions and read the resolution that we've prepared. The first is that we did work with the Supervisor of Elections, Ron Turner's office, in putting this together, and it's been blessed by his office in preparation for presenting it to you. And then lastly, and most importantly, all of the voted seats of the board members do not change based on this. So we ensure that the precincts that the current members are in will remain in the northern district if you were in the northern district at the last election, central district, southern district, the same. Any questions?
I have a comment. So this looks
Bill.
more like a north, central, and southern district, so thank you.
It worked out that it could be contiguous. Looks good on the map.
So the people who were in Northern District, North 1 District, or Northern District, the population density who voted were able to vote in that district are not changing with this realignment, or are they?
Some of the population precincts may change, and the northern district had the least amount of change than the other districts.
So people in Northern District could either gain or lose some potential votes as a result of this election?
Everything is countywide. People don't vote by district. The representatives are required to live in those districts,
Right.
but every seat is voted on countywide.
Even in the primaries, okay.
That's right.
Thank you.
Okay, if that's it, then I'd like to read the resolution. Whereas the Sarasota County Public Hospital District is an independent special district established by special act of the Florida Legislature and governed by the Sarasota County Public Hospital Board. Whereas the enabling legislation of the Sarasota County Public Hospital District requires the Sarasota County Public Hospital Board to create 3 hospital board districts within the Sarasota County Public Hospital District, the borders of which shall be within the borders of Sarasota County, which shall be designated as the Northern, Central, and Southern Hospital Board districts, and which shall be as nearly equal in population as practicable. And whereas the enabling legislation further requires that the hospital board by resolution adopt from time to time at intervals of not more than 10 years and fix the boundaries of the hospital board districts along the lines of precincts as they exist at the time such boundaries are fixed. Whereas subsequent to the latest resolution of the hospital board fixing the board district boundaries dated September 15, 2003, the supervisor of elections in and for Sarasota County has, during various redistricting phases, made changes in the boundaries of precincts, the numerical identification of precincts, and created new precincts, each of which presently lies entirely within one of the northern, central, or southern hospital board districts in Sarasota County. Whereas subsequent to the latest resolution of the hospital board fixing the districts dated September 15th, 2003, the population in each hospital board district has changed as measured by the U.S. Census Bureau's decennial 2010 census. And whereas the hospital board desires to revise the boundaries of the northern, central, and southern hospital board districts to specifically identify such new precincts and to continue to make such districts as nearly equal in population as practicable. Now therefore be it resolved, the northern district shall consist of the following precincts as they exist at the time this resolution is passed.
And now, to save poor David the obligation of reading all the districts, with the permission of the board, I'll just ask that they adopt the numerical districts as in the written motion in front of you. So if someone would just move to adopt the resolution as published.
I so move.
And then finally, a certified copy of this resolution will be furnished by the Secretary of the Hospital Board to the Sarasota County Supervisor of Elections by the end of the 10th business day following the adoption of this resolution by the Sarasota County Public Hospital Board. So with that, I think we'll move if
I move approval of the resolution as stated by the Associate Counsel.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any further questions or comments?
I have some questions.
Yes,
I
Darrell.
don't understand what some of the stuff you said, David, about population increases in the Southern District. I don't see anything on that map that indicates such a thing happened.
Let me go back to this slide, Mr. Henry. As you can see in the top of the chart here, based on the 2010 census data, which these numbers are, the Southern District has 147,000 people in it, roughly. The Northern and Central District only have 114 and 117. At the time that those boundaries were set in 2003, they were very equal. By the time the new population data came out in 2010, the Southern District had grown exponentially.
Okay, but I don't see that reflected on the colored map charts.
Right. So part of the reason is the density increased. So a particular
Density increased, okay.
That's right.
I can deal with that.
Can you just go back to the slide you just had? So the numbers in total don't change. It's the allocation of the numbers. And which one of these is based on the prior census data or neither?
So all of the population numbers here is based on the 2010 data. The top chart is just based on the boundaries as set in 2003.
Right. Okay, but the population numbers in total hadn't changed because it's the same period. And you're just reallocating the three districts and the precincts stayed the same.
That's right. I actually don't have the 2000 census data numbers on this chart. So there may have been less than 379,000 people based on the 2000 census data.
But the precincts change.
The precincts change.
Right.
But the people who are currently on the board who are in those districts are not going to lose their district.
That's true.
That's correct. Correct.
Got it.
Yeah. New map, right?
Are there any other questions or comments?
Yes, please, Mr. Chairman.
Darrell?
I happen to believe that you and I both have distinctly different views, unique views of what constitutes Southern County and what doesn't constitute Southern County. I would like to have had those opinions considered in this. Apparently this is a numerical game.
The way that these are divided up is set by your enabling legislation, so it has to be as nearly equal as practicable. The designation, the geographic designation, and the way that it's divided up is dictated by your enabling legislation.
And the boundaries may have changed, but as in this, the slide that's up right now, as you can see in the last, on the bottom, all three districts have very close to the same number of people.
I agree with that.
And as it is today, the Southern District has so many more than the Central or the Northern. So now this has just equaled the number of constituents per district. Other questions?
But we know Venice is a unique situation. It's not really Southern District, it's really a town unto itself.
As I see this, it looks like Venice is now going to be in the Central District.
Yeah, Venice is in the central.
Mm-hmm.
Not really.
Questions, comments? If not, all those in favor of this resolution, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else, Carol Ann?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, that concludes the legal report.
Okay. Any other business at this point? If not, we are adjourned, and thank you very much.